Hi gang, Laura Sauvé Décor Consultant here with part 2 of how to survive winter in your RV. First up, a correction on my part 1 video. The styrofoam I was speaking of, I referred to it being 1 inch in thickness. Chad corrected me, it's actually a 1/2 inch. Okay, so just please keep that in mind for your upgrades and if you're watching that other video again. Alright? So I've got a little list here of the things I've missed on my first video, hard to believe, but I'll tell you, Chad and I took over, I would say 6 weeks, 6 comprehensive weekends, really getting things ready for winter time. Next year will be a breeze, but it was a lot of work and a lot of research and a lot of effort to make it successful, but hopefully sharing these tips with you will save a lot of burden on your end. Alright, so last video I spoke a lot about spray foaming. The tanks. I didn't talk about another area that we spray foamed, and that's our garage. We call it our garage because it's where we keep all of our automotive stuff, our paint, our hardware things, you know, Christmas decorations, you name it, it's in there, it's organized. It's the part underneath the fifth wheel. Okay, so we have a storage door that comes up, one drops down. That area in there is our garage. Within the garage there are 2 additional doors that drop down to keep the basement area and the garage area together circulation wise for all of the warm air that we put down there. So we were able to keep our basement and our garage warm, and because it's underneath our bedroom, we wanted to ensure that we were going to insulate it properly because we knew we would not be skirting our fifth wheel area because we wanted to have access to our tools and stuff in the garage over the winter season. So we took the same spray foam, we spray foamed the ceiling in the garage space, and we spray foamed the walls. Mainly because there was 2 holes in the wall to which wires came in for our landing feet. So we needed to solve that, and I said to Chad, just do both sides, that will help us with the R value. And we also spray foamed underneath the fifth wheel. We did a combination of that 1/2 inch styrofoam and spray foam. So this way we could go without skirting that part in and still have relative warmth and minimal condensation in our bedroom. Okay, so that's a good tip for you too. I didn't talk about how we got water into our unit, right? I was telling how great our plumbing was, everything functioning, our tanks flushing, but I never talked about how you prepare the hose that comes from the campground into your unit to ensure that it doesn't freeze over winter. Very simple. You go to your local home improvement store and you pick up the length of heat tape that you require. It's sold, you know, in 15, 20, I think it goes all the way up to 45 feet. Anyway, we got the section that we needed, and you just wrap it around the hose. You'll want to start the wrap at the metal screw connected to the trailer for the water source, so you want to make sure that's going to be kept warm, and you wrap it according to the instructions. You wrap it all the way down to where the connection meets the campground and your hose. Okay? Then on top of that, because I want to get the most energy efficiency out of things that we're paying to use, right? Heat tape is electrical. We took aluminum foil and we wrapped that around over top of the heat tape. So it just helps conduct that heat a little better, a little more evenly. Then on top of it, you want to protect this now from the weather, the snow and the ice and all of that jazz. We purchased styrofoam pipe insulators. So this is the stuff you see normally in basements going around copper piping to cut down on the condensation. It comes with an open side that's got tape, you just peel it off and you stick it down. So you encase your hose and your heat tape and your aluminum foil in this sheathing. You take off the tape, you seal it down. That tape doesn't hold once the cold weather starts coming, so what you do is you just take packing tape. And we did a loop around section maybe every 5 to 6 inches, all the way down to where it meets the campground's piping. And then like typical winter campgrounds, you drop that whole thing down into a well, put the cement over top, and there should be no freezing. And in our case, there was no freezing. You'll want to make sure the heat tape has its own thermostat with a light on it. Okay, so it comes on when it's 3 degrees or lower outside, and that light stays on while it's on. You want to make sure you can see that, so don't encase the thermostat and the light in all of that foil and styrofoam. Leave it exposed, okay? It needs to feel the outside temperature, and then you can see it. We can see it through our tilt-out window there, and check it. You know, these things are known to burn out from time to time, so make sure, you know what, if it's really cold out, just take a peek, make sure it's fired up, okay? What next? Okay, so we talked about this stuff, the bubble wrap, the aluminum foil bubble wrap, but I didn't talk about where else we used it. We have a lot of vents, right? I'm sure you do in your RV too. We have 2 direct vents, you know, that pop up, twist them open. When they are closed in the wintertime, a lot of cold air still filters down from there. You'll want to make one of these. You can buy them. You can buy an insulation baffle at Canadian Tire for 20 bucks, but we had leftover material, so I just doubled this up, made it the shape and the size of the vent, and I just duct taped it in white just so it matches our interior. And I made a little handle so you can just pull it down easily. And you put this in every time you're not using your vent. Makes a big difference. On the AC ducting, you've got circle vents. We took all of them down, and I just cut a template out of that 1/2-inch styrofoam. Put that styrofoam in, tuck taped around it so no air would bleed through, and then put it back in the ceiling. Okay, just remember to take that out before you run your air conditioning or venting unit through the ceiling. All right. One other spot that I've noticed like 99% of the trailers in this winter park have missed, and it's a great source of cold air coming into your unit that is so easy to block. It's your kitchen stove exhaust vent. We did something very similar to the baffle that we use for our vents, taped around it for durability, and you just put it up in the outside vent cover. Okay, I'm telling you, that stops all the air from blowing down over your stove and ultimately into your unit. Maybe a bit of a pain in the butt to get out when it's -35 and you want to cook breakfast, but totally worth the effort, okay? I'm going to give you a piece of advice now that originally cost us $100 and 3 days of our time. And I could find nothing on this problem online. So once again, I'm giving you a gift, okay? Your fridge has the option of being on electric or propane. We started off electric in the summer and saw that the bills were atrocious for that. We switched it over to propane, a huge savings. We figured, well, we're just going to carry that on through the winter time. A bit of comedy of errors happened here. The park wanted to replace one of their hydro poles, and they had planned a specific day for the hydro company to come in and do that. They warned us that we wouldn't be without power. Unfortunately, that day was -30. Okay, so our fridge was on propane. I thought, no big deal, no problem. Except 5 o'clock in the morning, our propane ran out and Chad had to change the tanks. Chad forgot to reset our fridge. That's the thing, when you've got a fridge on propane, you have to reset it. You have to make sure that the flame lights again. He didn't do it. He didn't tell me he didn't do it. Next thing you know, power's out. They've got generators to help us. But within 30 minutes of him changing the tanks, our fridge started getting warmer and warmer and warmer and melting and dripping and making a mess. I switched it over to electric, but by then it was too late. We called a service technician who told us that the fridge was vapor locked. Okay, so essentially the ammonia moving through was no longer moving because the fridge was off, right? The propane wasn't connected and an air bubble formed, preventing it to continually flow through. So essentially the refrigeration stops. To solve a vapor blocked fridge, you have to pull it out, you have to flip it over, you have to put it back in, and you need to let it sit for 12 hours. These RV fridges are heavy and cumbersome and a bit of a pain in the butt. I highly recommend that you switch your fridge over to electric when it comes time for winter. Okay, we continue now to run on electric after having to flip that fridge. I tell you, it changes your perspective. I don't mind paying a couple extra dollars more if it means we don't have to go through that hassle. Highly recommend during winter time that you put your fridge on electric. Okay, and my last tip for you, took me a long time to find this online too, to keep condensation reduced in your unit, you keep the heat warmer. In my mind, because we used to live in a sticks and bricks home with great insulation and R value, you know, at nighttime you'd go to bed in the winter, you shut everything down. You know, you drop it down 10 degrees. You're going to be under the warm blankets. The rest of the place doesn't need to be warm. In an RV, that's very different. We started doing that. At nighttime, we would drop it down, 5, 10 degrees, and wake up in the morning, and things would be very, very wet everywhere. I thought that was normal, right? We're in an RV. And then when I finally did some serious research on that, I found the tip to keep your RV warmer. That will help reduce condensation, and it does. It really, really does. So at nighttime when it's really cold, we would turn it down maybe 1 or 2 degrees. We would try to maintain the same warmth throughout day and night to really keep things consistent. And it makes a big difference on the condensation level. Okay? So I think I've covered everything. If I think of something else, I'll do a part 3. But between part 1 and part 2, you can be successful in the winter, even at minus 36 for several weeks. We just paid our hydro bill for February. It was $115. That was our highest hydro bill. And like I told you on the last video, about $220 for propane. We're in March now, halfway through. I can't wait for spring. I can't wait to be able to put our fridge back on propane. And I can't wait to relax by the lake. Have a great day. Enjoy planning for your RV adventures. Find me on Facebook at Laura Sauvé Décor Consultant. I'm here to help you if you want to revamp your tiny home or your large space, or you need some advice. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.